What's going on, guys? I'm Ben Bateman.
And I'm Andrew Guy.
And we're here to talk to you today about the greatest sports film director today, Gavin O'Connor.
Yeah, our boy Gavin O'Connor, he has directed our collective favorite movie of all time, Warrior, but we realized that Miracle and The Way Back are also phenomenal movies. So what is it about Gavin that makes him and sports movies work so well together?
So many people are going to find out this weekend when they go to watch The Way Back, his brand new film about Ben Affleck, a down and out former high school basketball star struggling with alcoholism, trying to coach a high school basketball team. They're gonna find out this guy has put together the perfect hat trick. This guy is the sports director. So as you said, there are hallmarks of these movies.
Yeah.
There are rules you sort of have to follow to construct a perfect sports movie. There are a lot of cliches. There's always speeches and music.
They've got to be almost always underdogs, or at least with Gavin, they're underdogs, because who doesn't want to root for an underdog? And of course, every sports movie needs that huge climax at the end, that game-winning bucket, the knockout punch, whatever it might be. But it's all got to come together with the music to make you feel inspired.
So let's start with the very first piece of this, which is cliches. We talked about the underdog story. Now, if it's the sequel to a sports film, sometimes you can get away with maybe not quite the underdog. Maybe you're the champion at the beginning of the second film, but something knocks you down, you gotta find a way back. But in general, you gotta be looking at your character thinking, I know in my heart they can do this, but are they gonna show me why?
Yeah.
Are they gonna convince me they can do this? And it really has to be convincing. Let's talk about the speeches.
Yes.
Because Miracle, which is one of the other ones, obviously, Herb Brooks, real life character, played in the film by Kurt Russell, gives one of the great speeches of all time.
It's so good, and his accent is even better.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And
The amount of things he says in that room, it's line after line after line of inspiration. Is tonight, we skate with them. Today, you were born to play hockey. Like, there's things in that where you're like, I can go play hockey. I can go do it right now.
Just the other day when ESPN was like, it's the 40th anniversary of the U.S. national team beating Russia, they literally play the clip from Miracle on ESPN.
Instead of actually playing the real clip from Lake Placid.
They just play Kurt Russell because he's that good. And if they know, like, this is what people look to. And so I think the speech is so important. Obviously, that speech is incredible.
Well, and then also the speech he gives at the very end when he's kind of doing the voiceover of the end of the film, and he says, for one day, for one moment, it's not that we all could dream, it's that we all believe.
Yeah.
And you're just like, perfect.
And of course, there are great speeches in The Way Back, to be honest with you guys, but it's a little different in The Way Back, because in The Way Back, he's this alcoholic who's coaching a high school basketball team. They're trying to make the playoffs. This is not to win $10 million. This is not to win for your country and beat Russia. He's literally just a construction worker who's drunk all the time, who decides to coach these kids because he thinks it's gonna save his life. And he has to inspire these kids, even though he's not very inspiring at that moment in the movie, But the speech that always sticks with us the most.
Yeah, the most.
It's Frank Grillo doing the Why Are We Here, Brendan? Why Are We Here in Warrior? It's one of the greatest sports speeches of all time. It inspires the underdog.
It is the greatest sports speech of all time. At least I know I'm a little biased, but yeah, why are we here? If you don't knock him out, he's like, we can go home.
Yeah.
If you don't knock him out, you don't have a home. And you're just like,
in the gut, punches you in the gut. And those speeches, they're so important because, every sports film is gonna have it. They're all gonna attempt it, but it doesn't always work. Now, we're gonna move on from speeches here, and we're gonna talk about music. Because in Miracle, one thing we didn't mention is there's that moment when he's giving the speech, and he says, tonight, you're the greatest hockey team in the world. And the music swells in just as he says it. Just as he says it. And if you're listening to it on headphones, if you've got good speakers, it chills you. I started tearing up on my phone in a convention center watching that clip last week.
It sounds healthy. That sounds good. Well, you know how important it is, right? You have to have the music to go with that climax. It has to go with that moment so that you feel the inspiration that the director wants you to feel. And that's something that Gavin is so great at, is making you feel the inspiration that the characters are feeling in the movie. And I have to say that the Warrior speech, still to this day, every single time I watch it, it makes me tear up.
Yeah, it's incredible. And again, the quick reference to The Way Back, one of the things that's terrific about it, this is one of Gavin's greatest strengths. It's not just about the big moment. He doesn't just make you feel something in the big moments. He also makes you feel something when you see Affleck just literally sitting watching the team. I started
all the best movies that use music to the utmost. They're characters in the film, and from the beginning, the opening frame of Warrior, you get The National, which is one of our favorite bands as well. The National is the soundtrack for the entire film of Warrior. The climax at the end is amazing with About Today, but the opening of the movie, from the very opening scene, you get a feeling of, you know, it's dark out, you get the light music from the National coming in, it's somber, and you're like, oh wow, this movie already, I can tell, it makes me feel this is gonna be a little bit deeper than just an MMA fighting film.
And a couple years ago when we got to speak to Gavin about Warrior, one of the things he told us is that he had a friend who would show him new music, and he had heard this song about today, and he was like, oh, this is gonna be perfect, I'm gonna put this in the movie. Of course, that translated to another song being in the film. The film sort of, we found out about the National from that movie.
Yeah.
And now it's, you know, one of the favorite bands in the world for me. And so his use of music and where he places it in those moments is masterwork. And that final 10 minutes of Warrior is one of my 10 favorite minutes of any film, largely just because of the music.
Yeah, I mean, the music specifically is what carries it. And I think that this is a great moment to segue into the other section that we were gonna talk about, which is the climax. The climax, you just talked about it right now at the end of Warrior with About Today, the brothers, but you have to have that moment.
Yeah, because you're using all those cliches we mentioned from earlier. You're talking about Warrior and some of those cliches when you're watching, how much punishment can one man take? You know, like, he's unbeatable. Oh, everybody go home, he's Koba, he can't lose. You know, it's like, all those hallmarks have to be used so well. You're paying attention to them in those build moments, but what you don't realize is, because they're done so effectively, when the sports movie cliche is executed the way Gavin does, in the climactic moment, in the big moment in Warrior, you are not focused on any of those setups. You don't care about any of the setups. Now you're just locked in because you're finally at the end of the journey and you're thinking, are they gonna accomplish it? Is he gonna do it? Can he do this thing that 2 hours ago I sat down and I wanted to see this guy win?
At the end of Miracle, it takes down to the 1 second. They're up, the puck is spinning on the ice and it feels like there's no way that they can stop this.
Do you believe in miracles?
The goalie makes a couple blocks out there and, you know, you go to Warrior and you talk about fighting your brother, which is one of the other things that he brought out, is this hidden brother moment. The love between the two of them and the hate between the two of them that you experience in that climax is what makes the movie. It's what makes the ending shot so great.
And in that one in particular, I think this is the ultimate thing that we are going to use as the example of just why Gavin is so good. Because Warrior to me is the pinnacle of the sports movie.
Yes.
It's the greatest sports movie made in my lifetime. And what happens at the end of the movie is that you are sympathetic to both sides of the final fight. It's not you just have a hero and he's trying to take down the unbeatable villain. This is not Drago.
Yeah.
You feel for both characters so much humanity. When Tommy's arm is disconnected and he's crying in the corner because he knows when that bell sounds, he's gonna have to go up there in front of all of his brethren, of all his brothers, his father, his actual brother, and he's going to have to lose even though he wants it just as much as Brendan. You can't do it better than that, so hats off to Gavin O'Connor for being the greatest.
And the fact that you're rooting for both of them. You don't know who you want to win at the end of that movie. How has that ever been done at the end of a fighting movie? Yeah, hats off to you, Gavin.
So guys, thanks for watching. This is our in-depth explanation of why Gavin O'Connor is the best sports film director today, maybe of all time. I don't know. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Be sure to watch our show every single Monday, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Action Movie Anatomy. And you can obviously hit up our stuff as well at Action Industries on YouTube. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.
See ya.